Good afternoon and welcome to my humble garden. I say humble, it's not the largest of gardens. I would say it's 30 feet by 25, and I can honestly say that 3 years ago or 3.5 years ago I barely had a flower in here, and everything you can see here really is the result of responding to an advert from an elderly gentleman in the Forest of Dean. He was selling some hydrangeas, or hydrangeas, depending on which way you want to pronounce it. So I purchased a couple from him out there, lovely fellow and his wife. Been to visit him a few times since, and each time I take a few more plants off him. And I'll show you the two plants later on, which I purchased, but as a result I've now got, I think it's 26 varieties, or maybe 27 varieties of hydrangea. They're varieties of macrophylla, which is the big leaf ones, which are over on the border over there. There's lace caps and there's the mopheads. So when you think of the macrophylla or macrophylla types, you're thinking the big leaf, mopheads and lace caps. And there's also another variety called the arborescens, which is somewhere lurking at the back there. And you've then got your paniculatas. So I'm going to go through each one in turn. Excuse my ignorance on some aspects of the knowledge of these particular plants. It's all been gained really in a short period of time. So let's crack on. Now what we've got here is what's remaining of a runaway bride. Now when it's got a bouquet of these white flowers on here, it's a magnificent specimen. Unfortunately it's obviously not looking like that at the moment. We are in mid to late August now, so some of the hydrangeas, particularly the macrophylla mopheads, are going over, but we'll see what else we've got here. So this is one of the paniculatas. I mentioned a paniculata, and this is a prim white. It says early flowers. Well, this has only just started flowering, which is bizarre. So we'll see what surprises that has in store later on. Now in my border I got a variety of other non-hydrangeas. I'm going to address those in a separate video. Okay, so we're just going to concentrate on the hydrangeas. Over here, well, believe it or not, that's a black hydrangea. And just to show you that it actually is a black variety, there you go. It's one of the royalty collection. I think it's Dutch breeders, Black Knight. Okay, and it's pretty unusual, not to everyone's taste, but hey, if you want an unusual black type hydrangea, this is the one, Black Knight. Right, so I go through the border. I've already mentioned the lace cap. The lace cap, by dint of its very name, has these beautiful centres here with the petals on the outside, and this really does spread. That's 2 years old, something like that. Right, so we go along here, avoiding all the other flowers. So we've got a paniculata again here, clearly showing on the label, and that is a magical fire. And that's just becoming that beautiful white colour now. Ignore the phlox. So yeah, I do like that one. It's a fairly newish one I've got. Going further along, so this is one of the classic big leaf macrophylla types. The mophead going over now, which is understandable. And over here we've got a few lurking in the corner. Now the one thing about hydrangeas, especially these big leaf macrophylla, is they are susceptible to something called powdery mildew, which I had last year. It really looks ugly when it's on there. It's a fungus. Often happens when the weather is humid, damp, often late summer. And yeah, it crippled some of my plants last year. You can see some lace caps hiding in there. And so I had to apply some fungus killer, and I've applied 3 lots this year, once every couple of months. And it's done the trick, because as you can see from the leaves, beautiful glossy, and there's no sign of any blight on there. I got 3 mopheads in there, lurking in there. I had no pots to put them in, so. But what they do like is shade. They like sun in the morning, shade in the afternoon, particularly with the big leaf varieties. And this border here does capture only the sun in the morning. Right, let's float around here. Now here is a Selena. Now if you're going to have any hydrangea in your garden to break up the mop heads and the lace caps, go for a Selena. It's totally different. Now okay, it is a lace cap, but look at the difference in the colour of the leaves. I just love this contrast here. And this is very happy in the corner here. And yeah, so Selena, remember that one. Definitely go for one of those, folks. Right, we'll skip past the hollyhock. I'll come to that in a separate video. Over here we've got another paniculata. This one's a paniculata phantom. Got two in the border. It's got, once again, these lovely white petals on there. And yeah, it's looking quite healthy there. And moving along, we've got the only arborescence. Now I call it arborescence, I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced. But this is a Annabelle. Now Annabelle, oh I love you Annabelle, look at that. Gets much bigger and fuller than that in time. And that will really spread. So that's a highlight of anyone's border, I believe anyway. You can see that's absolutely gorgeous petals on there. Starting to go over perhaps, I'm not sure. So there you go, Annabelle. And moving round. Now, there are 3 hydrangeas that are my 1, 2 and 3. My favourites basically. So I'm going to put this one as number 3. And this one is, now you'll have to excuse the pronunciation here, but I'm pretty sure it's French. Mervaille Sanguine. There's a label down here somewhere. Let's have a look. And there we go. Always a leaf gets in the way, isn't it? Hydrangea macrophylla Mervaille Sanguine. And, well, how can you not fall in love with something like that? It's absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? And the leaves, unlike your typical leaves on a big leaf, it's a much darker green. And this is happy in the border. Now it does get a lot of sun in the afternoon, but lo and behold, it hasn't affected its growth. I will say that some of these leaves have this brownish coppery colour on them. I'm not sure what's causing that. Maybe it's the heat of, well, we had a very hot June, certainly had a wet July, and we're having a pretty wet, unsettled August, but I'm not sure if there's a weather connection there, or perhaps it's some sort of blight, but it's not affecting the plant as far as I can see. Okay, coming round here now, we've got 2 varieties of a black steel. This is a black steel pink ball, just to show I'm not telling porkers. Hydrangea, pink ball, black steel. Black steel, I guess, is synonymous with the colour of the stem, which is not quite black, but it's getting there. You can see it's got a couple of heads on there still. So, yeah, this is another mop head, slightly different variety. Not sure about the copper tones on here, but this could be just a result of the fact that we're getting near the end of the season and the leaves will change colour naturally until they all finally drop off and I'll be left with a twig, and then the whole process starts again next spring. Now there is another black steel, voila, and this is a black steel, no that's not it, correction, I stand corrected, you fool, it's this one here. Now this is my number 2 on my favourite list, and it is a black steel, okay, and it's a black steel blue ball. Now I'm not telling porkers, there is a label here somewhere. Well, there was a label on there, but I can assure you this is a black steel blue ball, and just to show you how beautiful it is, I've fallen in love with a flower again, and now you can understand my passion for these. As I say, I didn't have anything in this garden, and it suddenly got carried away, or I got carried away with it. Beautiful contrast between the yellows and the blues. Plenty of life in that gal. Go gal. Obviously these are going over there. Alright, so black steel, number 2 for me. And coming round here now. Right, okay, so we've got a glam rock. It's an unusual one, this, because the colours when this fully flowers, you get a blue centre in there. I'm not sure whether I can't see any in there. That one, possibly in there. Yeah, there you go. Just slight remnants of a blue. It goes through all the colour changes of glam rock. It's quite a glamorous lady, this plant. And will it flower anymore? Perhaps not. We're in the lapse of the guard concerning the weather for this month and next month. Glam rock, really nice one there. Now, endless summer. Anyone who's familiar with hydrangeas will know that endless summer is synonymous with old wood and new wood. Now, when I say old wood and new wood, you hydrangea specialists know what I'm yakking on about here. Most hydrangeas, they grow on old wood. In other words, the buds that developed the year before produce the flowers the next season. On an endless summer, you get new wood on the current year, i.e. this year, and you get new buds. So you get a second showing, if you like, and that extends the life of the flowering period. So that's an endless summer. Now, it's an endless summer original. I bought this up in Evesham way, I think, for quite a hefty price, but wow, look at the size of it now. So there is another variety called Bloomster, once again one of the endless summer varieties. Here we go. Endless summer Bloomster, which I inadvertently directed you to earlier. I think I prefer the Bloomster over the original. Not quite sure where it's pink. It clearly shows blue on the label, doesn't it? Maybe I need to use that aluminium sulfate, and I'll come to that in a moment. So this is your Bloomster, and I do like the colour of these almost red stems. I think that's what sets it apart from the original. Now, I mentioned aluminium sulfate, of which this black steel blue ball has plenty in the soil. Now, it's not your normal multi-purpose compost in here. This is ericaceous, so it's an acid. Essentially, ericaceous soil is used for acid-loving plants such as rhododendrons. Absolutely no reason why you can't use it on hydrangeas, because an acidic type soil will help change the colour of the actual flower itself. So on a big leaf hydrangea, correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty sure on a big leaf hydrangea, if it's pink, you can change it to blue by adding aluminium sulfate and having it in ericaceous soil. So yeah, I've got a few plants with aluminium sulfate in. I'm back to that one again, aren't I? I can't keep my eyes off, it's beautiful. Right, let's go through here. Over here we've got a hydrangea polestar, that's a paniculata. Now have a look at the colour of the leaves. It's like a faded pink, isn't it? Now that's a polestar. I'm going to take you around, just bear in mind what the leaves look like and the flowers. I'm going to take you around to something that looks almost identical. And this is an Ophelia. It's Switch Ophelia. There you go. You'd think you'd be looking at the same plant I've just walked away from. It has to be one and the same, you would think. So we just go back. If anyone can suss out why that has a different name to this one, I don't know. Over here we've got a shrub-like little lime, a dwarf habit. Now this is the baby of a limelight. A limelight is very similar, but it's much bigger. So this is probably the size it will actually grow to, no more, but perfect for a pot. So little lime, and this will change cone-like, which is quite very familiar on these type of plants. And it goes through 3 colour changes. I think it's white, green, and eventually pink. So it's your little lime. Over here we've got, they don't come much more purple than this. This is a deep purple dance. Can't argue about the colour there. I absolutely love this. I think I'm going to say this is number 4 in my top 4. Deep purple dance. There you go. Looking very healthy. Still flowering on. These are gone over. Right. Now I mentioned endless summer. There's a reason why I'm coming to this one. This one's called All Summer Beauty. It does exactly the same as endless summer. In other words, it flourishes or flowers on old wood, i.e. the from the previous year, from the buds of the previous year, and also creates buds on the current year on new wood, so old stroke new wood. This, if you like, is a rival to the end of summer series. Now there's something called PBR, which is plant breeders' rights. Just like a book where it's got a copyright, there's a copyright on plants as well. So you are not supposed to sell on any plants which have got copyright, such as plant breeders' rights. This one you can, because it doesn't have plant breeders' rights. I'm not quite sure why, but it doesn't. Funny enough, I have yet to take cuttings off this, so I should take cuttings off that. Fill up a few more of my pots. All summer beauty. There you go. Just going over. Interesting little colours in there. Splashes of pink in the petals. Love it. Oh, that's looking very nice, isn't it? Look at that. You are a beauty. Right, let's go on round here. Right, number 2 on my top 3, or that's the top 4 now, is this one, a rosy purple. It's so much different from all the others I have. It's got button-like centres, or button-like petals. I absolutely love this. Just the 2 on there at the moment. Will I get more out this year? I don't think so, but that's not bad for a first year. It was quite a large plant when I bought it. Okay, coming round. Right, so anyone notice a Miss Saori? Hands up, who knows what a Miss Saori is? Well, let's just zoom in a bit. And this is a Miss Saori with its double-headed petals. It's the most gorgeous plant. Now, this was the one that came out earliest. It's gone over. But when that was in its prime about 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was absolutely gorgeous. And I absolutely love you. And I think I'm going to buy 2 or 3 more, I think. And just to show it is a Miss Saori. There you go. Hydrangea, you and me, Miss. Just to mention, that's in a rather large pot, 35 litre plastic pot. I found it easier and more manageable to move these around rather than a ceramic one like this one. Don't get me wrong, it looks better in a ceramic pot, especially a big plant like that. But when you've got a heat wave, these plants need protecting because they're out in the open. I've got this cantilever parasol there, open it up, and the hydrangeas, which are more susceptible to heat, they can go underneath there for protection. So Miss Saori, remember that one, folks, because everyone should have one in their garden. Now we're on to another paniculata, the classic cone shape again. This is a Sunday Fray. Yep, Sunday Fray. What else have we got? Now these 2 hydrangeas were the original ones I purchased from Joe, the chap in the Forest of Dean. I don't want to give his full name out, everyone will be knocking on his front door. This one, as you can see, it's got variations of colour simply because I played around with the aluminium sulphate on one side of the pot and put lime in on the other side. It's given this wonderful kaleidoscope of colours. Even better 2 weeks ago. Obviously the petals just starting to fade now. So that's just a classic mophead macrophylla, big leaf type, which started all this craze for having more, if you like. Right, this is a Wims Red. Just to show I'm not telling lies. There you go, Wims Red. Okay, so this one I prefer to have more shape, but oh, look at it, it's just shooting on by itself. Got carried away, hasn't it? And this was a little stick about that high back in March, nothing to it, and whoosh. I've got multi-purpose compost in most of, it's actually Miracle Grow multi-purpose compost. None of it is peat based now because it's all going to get banned in a few years time. So we're eco-friendly here, folks, no peat. But this Wims Red, look at that. Yeah, very popular with the hydrangea enthusiasts. What else have we got here? I forgot what else we got here now. Not sure. Oh, this is another Runaway Bride. So obviously that's going over. Over here we've got a Hydrangea paniculata Candlelight. Doesn't look particularly brilliant, does it? But I'm sure given time that'll flourish. And we're getting to the end here, folks. So what have we got here? We've got a Forever and Ever Hydrangea macrophylla red. Don't think anyone can argue about the colour there, can they? So this was gorgeous, this one. I only bought this early summer. It's just got carried away. Right, I think we're on to our last one now. I haven't been counting how many varieties I've added over the last 3 years. Whether this is number 26 or 27, I don't know. But this is a Flair and Flavour, strawberry and cream. Flair and Flavour. Try saying that after a few pints. Now, what sets this apart? Yes, it's a lace cap, which is going over now, and it does look lovely when it's got the lace cap flowers on there. But come fall, if you are Yanks watching this, I do apologise for saying Yank. For you Americans watching this, this is set apart by the colour of the leaves. So here in England, as soon as you hit autumn, these will go this wonderful rusty browny colour, all of them. And even without the flowers, it's you walk past it and it just grabs your attention. Unfortunately, it's not at that stage yet. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed my little tour of my collection. I'm forever trying to add more. The one I did have on my mind to look out for was a Pinky Winky paniculata. And 2 hours ago I didn't have one until, well, I just had to buy one, didn't I? There you go. One Hydrangea Pinky Winky. So that will have lovely cone-like flowers. And then pink-like as well, hopefully. Just like that. A bit like a vanilla Freya, I think it will be. And I got carried away and I bought a pot. It was half price. So very much like a heritage pot. So I had to have bought a few other flowers, but we'll discuss those in my second video if you wish to come onto that one. Right, thank you very much for listening to me crackle on here. Have a great summer. Let's hope the summer will return. And all the best for now.